Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Call Halal Yahweh, Shem Yahushua, Shem Rikakodash, and of course, double honors go out to the apostles, elders, and bishops, Great Millstone. This is Naaman with the DC Camp, and this from Time, and it reads The Grim History of Christmas for Enslaved People in the Deep South. I guess this is in much the same spirit as Frederick Douglass's speech, where it was, in this case, it was referenced for the 4th of July. Something to the, can't remember the exact title, but something to what? Something about, is your 4th of July to the slave? But same thing here, and this is something we have never, as a people, come to grips with in the right way, all right? Because we're still, a large majority of our people are still caught up in this, being the Christmas holidays coming up. This weekend will be that day. Christmas so-called, all right? Anyway, it goes on, say, amid contentious national pushback over how much of the full history of slavery in the United States should be taught in schools. So you know this place is doomed from that in and of itself, when you don't want to, it's so bad that you don't want to tell the whole truth. Nobody bothered to ask themselves, why? Well, a lot of you didn't. A lot of you just want to push it to the side and get on with your mundane lives. You know, you don't address your own pain. All right, but you're willing to hop in there and try to ease everybody else's sufferings, and don't realize the reason that we're, we don't, first of all, you can't, that in itself starts the journey to discover who you are. All right, but again, our people just want to please massa, and that's what it all goes back to. Whether you deny it or not, a lot of our people still have that slave mentality. All right, going into what, and as a matter of fact, that can be used too. I wasn't going to go there, but hey, Jeremiah 2. I was going to go Jeremiah anyway, so what the hell. This is Jeremiah 2, all right, and I want to get, let's see, do I have it in my other ones here? Let's see. No, it's not going to tell me that. I have to get the old King James Bible here. Hold on. I always like to read the headings to give you. All right. And it says here, this is Jeremiah 2, King James. It says, the Most High, having shewed his former kindness, expostulate with the Jews their causeless revolt. That's 1 through 8. And at 9 it says, beyond any example. From 14 it says, they are the cause of their own calamities. And that was the point I was trying to stress. All right, but let's start around. Let's see. I'll start at 4. Actually 3. It says, Israel was holiness unto the Most High Yahweh. That's the Lord in all caps. As a matter of fact, let's prove it real quick. All right. That's Strong's H3068 Yahweh. All right. It says here, we know there's no J in Hebrew, but it says Jehovah. It means the existing one, or he exists. The proper name of the one true power. All right. There you go. See, everything's in all caps. Self-existent or eternal, etc., etc. All right. So we got that. All right, Israel was wholeness unto the Most High Yahweh, and the first fruits of his increase. All that devour him shall offend. Evil shall come upon them, saith the Most High Yahweh. Hear ye the word of the Most High Yahweh, O house of Jacob. Not everyone else and all the families of the house of Israel. So it says it twice. All right. Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, what iniquity have your fathers found in me, that they are gone far from me, and have walked after vanity, and are become vain. This is why we're in the situation that we're in. Neither said they, where is the Most High Yahweh that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, that led us through the wilderness, through a land of deserts and the pits, through a land of drought and of the shadow of death, through a land that no man passed through, and where no man dwelt. How quickly did our people forget these things, and still do. 7, and I brought you into a plentiful country, to eat the fruit thereof and the goodness thereof. But when ye entered, ye defiled my land, and made mine heritage an abomination. Going back to what? Deuteronomy 4th chapter. These are warnings. It says, the priest said not, where is the Most High Yahweh? And they that handle the law knew me not. The pastors also transgressed against me, as they still do to this day. And the prophets prophesied by Baal, and walked after things that do not profit. Why? Because the people that brought us over here, that knew who we were, through these pastors, they made sure that we would continually go off. First of all, worshiping something other than our power. That's their power, not ours. All right, see, what you have to consider too is that it's the little things that matter. They know this. As long as they ask Judith, the 5th chapter, as long as they can keep us eating pork, things that you might think are trivial, and that goes to people misunderstanding Acts the 10th chapter, you know, and the answer to that, really, one of the answers to that is Isaiah 66 and 17. All right, that's a future prophecy as punishment for what? It says, well, let me get it real quick and I'll come back to this when we're talking about that pork. All right, 66. And it tells you in 15, for behold, the Most High Yahweh will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. All right. In 17, it says what? Who is he coming by? And 4, it says, they that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh. And it's all kind of examples of this. Ezekiel 8th chapter, etc. Eating swine's flesh. What is that? That's pork. And the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith the Most High Yahweh. So, see? For those that think they were slick, and they like to misinterpret things, or they don't bother to check these things out. Pray first upon these things, because, like I said, these pastors, preachers, whatever you want to call these idiots, are set up to lead you astray. All right. Anyway, verse 9, it says, wherefore I will yet plead with you, saith the Most High Yahweh, and with your children's children will I plead. For pass over the isles of Kittim, and see, and send them to Kedar, and consider diligently, and see if there be such a thing. 11, here's the points. Hath a nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? You know, this is one of the curses in Deuteronomy 28, you know, when he was to bring us over here and have a nation that, you know, we wouldn't know their tongue and were dreadful, all right, and fearsome in countenance. All right, it says, hath a nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods, but my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit. Be astonished, O ye heavens, at this, and be horribly afraid, be ye very desolate, saith the Most High Yahweh. 13, drives it home, for my people have committed 2 evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. You want to listen to everything else that has not worked. Our people want to be Buddhist. They want to be Taoist. They want to be, what was that, the late funk organist. He just died, I guess, earlier in the year. Doctor, he used to wear that. He was a Sikh. He was a brother, but he was wore that turban. Sikhs. Some people have confused them for Muslims, but anyway, uh, his name escapes me now. But anyway, so they want to be everything else. They want to be Muslims. Those sheep and goat fucking bastards. All right. And you wonder why people are in this position. 14. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? These are all rhetorical questions. 3. All right. And our people, they just want to. They can't see past America. All right. They want to make their hell their resting place, or they want to dress it up so they, I hope I communicated that well enough. All right. They think this is it. Let's continue with the article because I didn't want to take all day on this, but it says around the time Christmas was starting to become a national holiday in the late 19th century, propagandists of the lost cause, the myth that the Civil War was fought for states' rights, not for slavery, were trying to reframe what happened in the South during the antebellum era. And this is all related because, as you're going to find out, it goes to, you have to understand, racism is a team sport. We, as a people, have no team. We have no power. This is going to also highlight the fact that the so-called white man, his cave bitch, has been just as much, if not more, of a problem. All right? They are a team. Don't feel sorry for her. All right? And this last, what I'm fixing to read next, is going to highlight that. It says, while they lost the war, one way, that's why it was an old saying when I was growing up. It said the South lost the war, but they won everything else. You have to really think about that. All right? It says, while they lost the war, one way they tried to win hearts and minds and political power was by telling romanticized stories about Christmas time. These accounts supported the Confederate myth that enslaved people appreciated their masters and mistresses, often describing them dancing and feasting and taking part in Christmas gift exchanges with the families who enslaved them. The old happy Negro. And this is one of the guys that escaped, all right, and he became his name is Henry Bibb. He wrote Narrative of the Life and Adventures of Henry Bibb, an American Slave, written by himself. All right, it was an autobiography. This is the Jake here. All right, possibly. I have to say it that way because you got to understand that this is a time where there was a lot of, as the old heads used to say, crossing the railroad tracks. Often our people didn't have a choice in that, all right? A lot of our women were raped, you know the stories. Anyway, it says, but the myth couldn't be further from reality. Many enslaved people spent the holidays worrying about getting sold or faced violence like whippings. Some, like Henry Bibb, who I just showed you the photograph of, picked Christmas Day in 1837 to escape to freedom. In his 1849 memoirs, he writes about deciding to make a boat for liberty or consent to die a slave. By paddling across the river from Kentucky to Ohio, after his plantation owner gave enslaved persons some time around the holiday to work for themselves. For his 2019 book, Yuletide in Dixie, Slavery, Christmas, and Southern Memory, historian Robert E. May reviewed plantation owners' diaries, periodicals, memoirs, as well as oral accounts from those formerly enslaved to see what really happened on plantations at Christmas. Here he talks to time about the most shocking examples and how unpacking lost cause myths can help tell a fuller picture of the history of slavery. And the question is to him, he says, what is the value of looking at Christmas time as a lens to study this period of slavery during the Civil War and the antebellum period? See, here's the thing that troubles these devils too, it says, because everything, if you notice, comes back and is centralized around us. So let's get that scripture. And they can't stand it. That's why they want to well, should we tell all this? This could damage our children because, well, they'll know the truth. And this is what they don't want. This is, see, they're worrying about, they got some nerve. This is Zechariah 12 and 2. I'm going to start at. It says, behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in the siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem. Here's the point. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against us. See, you have to understand another thing too. When I was talking about how racism is a team sport, you got to understand another thing that this devil did to us. He divided our team in half. He weaponized the so-called black woman against the so-called black man, or the Israelite woman against the Israelite man, which is more appropriate. So there's this infighting going on, and it weakens us. Now you notice he hasn't targeted anybody else but us. That's another big clue. All right, this Black Lives Matter. Who did this fake Jew, George Soros, set up to run that? 3 homosexual women. And that part that they removed from their charter about really destabilizing the, what they call nuclear family amongst our people. And that's the man, the woman, and the children. They want the man out of the picture. See, this is, you stupid asses, this is the shit when you align yourselves with these degenerates on some false notion that, well, they're being targeted too as far as race. Fuck them. Don't you understand that they are trying to supplant us? This is, at its base, this is Amalek behind this. The people that stole our identity. This is them trying to ruin us. They want that birthright back. And this is the thing, it gets upsetting sometimes, but you have to realize that a whole lot of people are not going to wake up. And it's just something you just have to accept. All right. But anyway, that burdensome stone. All right. It says, if we really want to understand why America's bloodiest war occurred in the first place, we must recognize the important part Christmas played in the Civil War causation. Many of the figures who were involved in the coming Civil War spoke out on Christmas on one side or the other. I wouldn't say that you can understand the Confederate defeat from studying Christmas in the Confederacy, but you can see that Southerners tried to create a national identity that was partly molded around Christmas. All right. It says, I think historians have mostly overlooked the link between Northern anti-slavery politics and the Christmas slave insurrection panics that occurred in the South. These panics often occurred over Christmas time because the guard of white people was down. Southern whites knew that there was a history of slave insurrections coming from the Caribbean and South America. Some of the worst insurrections of all time occurred over Christmas in places like Jamaica. And of course, some enslaved people in the U.S. were rounded up when there were rumors of these insurrections and, without any real evidence at all, were executed by vigilante groups. Oh, man. What another scripture that comes to mind is Daniel 9 and 12. See, this is all coming to bear, and it's casting shame on this devil's, well, let's get that scripture too. Let's go to Habakkuk 2 and 16. And it says, thou art filled with shame. See, this is what he didn't want anybody to know. And 2 people that come to mind off the top of my head are Hugo Chavez from Venezuela and the Iranian Prime Minister, what was his name? Ahmadinejad or something like that. They tore America's ass up when they got to the UN. And sometimes the American representatives would have to get up and leave. All right, because well, they're telling the truth. And this is what they never wanted, but these are just words. It's just amazing. And my last video, I said this is spiritual power. All right, we don't need guns, because that's what they want. That's Esau's blessing. It's the sword. All right, the modern day sword, of course, being the guns and things of that sort. Any kind of weapon of war, that's his blessing. That's why he has nukes and things of that. That's why everybody has to go to him. That's Esau and his descendants. That's their blessing. All right. We can't compete with that. That's a no-win. All right. So the Most High had it another way. The truth is bringing this devil down. All right. Let's see. Habakkuk 2:16 says, "Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Most High Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory." He's bigged himself up all over the world. He's so righteous, etc., etc. He's so, he's given himself demigod status, and people looked at him like that, in that fashion. But now they see the ugly truth, how foul and how much of a degenerate this so-called white man actually is. And he can't take it. You've got all this with the opioids, the high suicides, the low birth rate. See, the Most High is checkmating this devil. All right? So he can't go on. Job 14:5 said there's a boundary that he cannot pass. All right? So it's already written. We just living it out. And now, because our people are waking up, now you've got this COVID shit, and they realize that people are waking up to their bullshit, so now they're trying to rush and establish this new world order. And you still got dumbasses that are still in doubt, and it's right in their face. Sad, but hey, oh well. It sucks to be them. Anyway, so yeah, because this motherfucker's putting on a squeeze on. Exactly. All right, he's trying to force you to bend the knee. All right, he wants to be your God. And that's what Revelation 13:16 and 17 is all about. You have to decide who is your God. Is it going to be the so-called white man, the elite bankers, or is it going to be the Most High? And so far, a whole lot of people are jumping to choose the so-called white man. And they don't understand that this is his plan. It's called the Hegelian dialectic. All right? Pressure from above, pressure from below, i.e. the squeeze. Also, he started the problem. That's what? Problem. What is it? Problem. Then you get the reaction, and then he comes with the solution. All right. Let's see. It gets into the Great Depression. I'm going to skip over that for time's sake. Here's another good point in all this. And I did a couple of videos, I think, of this. The United Daughters of the Confederacy. Remember where I said his cave bitch was just as much of a problem? It says the United Daughters of the Confederacy will give these warm-hearted appraisals of the Christmas experience of the South's enslaved peoples. Because in the South, they had a lot to do with teaching schools, or shaping the school criteria, all right? And a lot of people grew up, generation after generation because of this shit here. Is that the United Daughters of the Confederacy will give these warm-hearted appraisals of the Christmas experience of the South's enslaved peoples. Scores of authors would devote whole chapters to Christmas in memoirs, novels, and short stories. They aren't just about Christmas, but Christmas was a major focus, one of the most important components of these works, trying to defend slavery and Southern customs before the Civil War, and they did win over a lot of hearts with it. And that's another thing. It says, where are some of the myths of Christmas time during slavery? And it gets into that, and for time's sake, I'll post this, and you can read that for yourself. I've made the point. Here you have illustration here. Here go the happy-go-lucky slaves celebrating, It says Plantation Frolic on Christmas Eve. That's from the Library of Congress. Wow. The Lost Cause. That's what I was reading to you about the Sisters of the Confederacy, Daughters of the Confederacy, Slovakia. And they were trying, win sympathy for their plight, like I said. Uh, so let's go into, well, I started to go before, but I cut myself off. Jeremiah 2nd chapter. And this brings up the T word that a lot of our people get in trouble over, and that T word is tradition. Well, we do it because it's tradition. Okay? And that's what gets a lot of people caught up. This is Jeremiah 10:2, and it says, Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen. This is a heathen custom. This is Babylonian, I'm talking about ancient, pre-Egypt Babylonian or in origin. All right, Christmas. It says, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs or traditions of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen, with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. 5, they are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. That's talking about this idol that you've erected. They must needs be borne, that's B-O-R-N-E, or carried, because they cannot go under their own power. It's dead. It says, be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good, because it's an idol. It's a dumb idol. It can neither speak nor hear or anything. It can't help you. And this is something that you pray to. Wow, which goes, ultimately goes in, you worship the creation, but you don't worship the creator. All right. Hey, so with that, I hope that whoever views this has been edified. That's what we aim to do here at Great Millstone. Once again, this has been a grim history of Christmas for enslaved people in the Deep South. All right. Again, that T word is tradition. Hey, the phone had to, still going off. So with that, hey, shalom.